internal developer platforms enable application modernization. And I have an amazing set of very diverse panelists with me today. We have customers, we have industry experts, and then we have our own team, my own team lead as well. So I'll get started with the introductions. From my left, we have Ganesh Prasad. He is the product architect at ClearIt. He has almost 40 years of experience, first as a developer and then as an architect. And he still tries to be very hands-on in all of his projects. So ClearIt is actually a startup based in Australia, a fintech startup. And their goal is to ease the management of working capital for small and medium businesses. Then we have Artem Lajko. He's a platform engineer and ambassador. He focuses on GitOps at scale. He's also a published author and has over 8 years of experience building cloud-native platforms. He works at IITS Consulting, which is a German startup founded in 2019, which specializes in building platforms, selecting optimal solutions for clients like Open Telecom Cloud, Stack IT, and Uniper. Then we have Britto Arul. He has been a long-standing customer of ours. He's an associate vice president in technology and interoperability at Z Omega. He has 27 years of experience in the healthcare IT industry and has been part of the healthcare digital transformation journey since 1999. And Z Omega was founded in 2001, headquartered in the US, and they aim to empower healthcare organizations with innovative population health management solutions. And then we have Kanchana Wickremasinghe, who is also my team lead. So he actually joined WSO2 around just over 4 years ago from an acquisition of a startup that he founded, which was called Platformer. And Platformer is actually part of the Choreo product at the moment as well. And in his current role, he leads the entire Choreo business unit at WSO2. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here and joining the panel and sharing your insights. So to get started, a question to all of the panelists. Internal developer platforms, so IDPs, are playing a pivotal role in application modernization. Even in Lakmal's talk, we saw in the Gartner hype cycle, internal developed platforms have actually moved down the hype cycle, which means they are more mainstream now. So what do you think is the single biggest way that IDPs are helping organizations speed their modernization journey? Ganesh, maybe we can start with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. So you mean a cultural change?
It can be anything that you think.
Yeah, so I think the big change, I've worked with cloud hosting platforms for over a decade, and I've been seeing the evolution of these platforms, and I think Choreo represents the next generation. So at the time, like maybe 10 years ago, when we first started using AWS, that itself was a sort of novel concept, virtual servers or virtual machines, because previously we used to deploy our applications onto physical hardware. And then when we said cloud, it's like virtual machines. But what happened at the time was we still had to do a lot of the work. The whole CI/CD process was our responsibility. The cloud platform was more passive. It was just a hosting platform. Whereas what's happening now with containerization and so on, I think what Choreo is doing is taken a lot more of the burden off our shoulders and has built more of the CI/CD into it. So I think that's the big cultural change. So I'll talk more about it as you ask me about my team's experience.
Yeah. Great, thank you. What about you, Artem?
Just one? Yeah, it's a tough one. If I have to just focus on one, I will say it's going to be about the speed. If I compare it with the old world, if I'm speaking about the old world, it's if a developer needs an environment or a new platform, it's going to be they create a ticket and wait until 1 or 2 weeks, and now we have finished it in 5 minutes or 30 minutes if you're using a platform, and it's safe by default if you build it right. So I'm going to say it's the speed the developer is. So you can, for launch, you can finish your test and then going to launch and present you what you have, your output. So
100%, thank you. What about you, Britto?
Yeah, so to talk about Z Omega, so it's almost more than 28 years in US healthcare industry. So we had a legacy systems where kind of the code in the back end, and when we are trying to look for this kind of a API transformation, because all our product works with the backend API. So we were looking for a tool API interaction tool, whether we can build in our in-house or we have to look at something. And we are already adopted the WSO2 API manager and enterprise integrator, and that is the time Choreo came, and we looked at it and see this can be a tool which will help our customer, our client can interact the API. We just take it as a kind of a sandbox, I think last year, and we have not developed the API tool, and we have an existing API. We could easily deploy, publish in Choreo, and provide the custom URL developer portal kind of things to our end user, our client, and it helped for the client to look at the API specification and try it out, So that's the way I would say that how Choreo is kind of helped us to speed up our the onboarding of any new client. The delay of looking at the API specification, it got reduced. So that's what I would say.
Great, thank you. And what about you, Kanchana?
All right, I think our biggest challenge is these customers bring us problems, and these are our pain points, and how do we actually make it easier for you, right? So I think Lakma talked a lot about it, and then Samira said continue within the open source journey, and Artem, you know a lot about this as well. So I guess my challenge is to then, take these customer requirements, work with the likes of Nuan and the rest of the team. We debate all about it as well, which things comes first, which things we can, kind of deprioritize. But overall, I think what we are trying to do is how do we actually make the developer love what they're doing rather than, go through the pains of, getting something to production. And also the cognitive load on the platform engineer, right? How can I get something in really quickly so the developers don't need to really wait and complain about it, right? I think that's kind of our challenge.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that. Ganesh, this is a question for you. As a startup, you live and breathe agility, and going to market fast is a very, very key important thing for you, especially with a small development team like you had. How did an IDP like Choreo help you achieve those goals of going to market faster?
Okay, that's a very relevant question, because I've led teams in the past. Let me compare what happened 10 years ago with what's happening now. Right, so for 10 years ago in my team, we used to use AWS, and we used the ECS environment. And we had to check in our code into GitHub, and then we had to use our own CI/CD software, like we're using Jenkins, to pull the code from GitHub, to build, test, and then we had to create 3 environments in AWS for development, testing, production, and then the Jenkins process would deploy to each one of them. But now we found that Choreo has just taken that burden off our shoulders. Because what happens is we just check code into GitHub, and Choreo pulls it out from there, does the build, and in addition to deploying it into the dev environment, it also does a vulnerability scan, which is really useful. So twice in the last few months, it has actually failed to deploy because there was a vulnerability in some of our libraries, and we are forced to upgrade the libraries, and then it deployed. So it ensured that whatever we deploy is secure. And then it also has the ability to just, as Samira showed, with just a button, you can promote it from dev to test, test to production. It reduces the whole life cycle so much in terms of time. And the dashboard itself is so intuitive and has all the features that you need. Like you can vertically scale, horizontally scale, so you can decide how many virtual CPUs you need or how much memory you need for each container. And you can also say how many instances of each container you need, like minimum and maximum, what's the threshold. So it really gives you all of that control at your fingertips, and you have observability, so you can see where your bottlenecks are, you can look at your server logs, you can export them. So it really makes life so much simpler compared to what it was 10 years ago. So, yeah.
100%, that's really great to hear as well. Britto, this is a question for you. So very different from Ganesh, who's coming from a startup. You work at a large enterprise, and that in itself brings a lot of complexities, right? When it comes to legacy systems, governance, compliance, and things like that. So how has your experience been? I know you've also used on-premise products. How has it been moving on to a SaaS product like Choreo? And has there been challenges? Is there something that you can kind of enlighten us on?
Yeah, so there are challenges. I won't say the way our product works is, so there are two different ways we have this product is getting deployed into our client. So one is our own private cloud, and another is on-premise, right? We have to deploy the entire technical stack into our client, and also we host it, right? So when we try to look at this kind of API interaction tool like Choreo, that was a challenge, right? It has to fit into our workflow, and with help of Choreo, the workflow automations, right? We started to start with our own internal developer first before we get into the client developers, right? So that is the adoption we did with Choreo. So I think we are the one who started adopting when your first release came, and we worked with Yvonne and other team members to deploy this proxy API and how we can promote from lower environment dev to prod and build this kind of URL, customized URL and customize the UI. It was kind of a challenges, and still we are not rolled out this Choreo into our on-premises client yet. So it takes time. But first we are taking a step-by-step approach. First we will try to roll out to our internal developers. Then we will get into our internal hosted client. We will get more feedback and experience, and we will move on to the on-premise client. That's a step-by-step we are moving. And another advantage with the flexibility of Choreo is, even though it's running on the cloud, but you can keep the data plane it wherever you want, right? So one of the compliance in healthcare is you cannot expose the data into any of this cloud. That's one of the requirement in healthcare, right? So the way we are architecturing this Choreo for our system is we keep the front end Choreo as in the cloud, and the data plane it connect to the existing APIs, which we can keep it as it is. So that's one of the flexibility which you don't need to spend a lot of time, right? You already have the endpoint, you just configure, and it does automatically, like you can promote to any environment you want. An advantage is you can customize your developer portal UI with your own look and feel, and that's another flexibility.
Great, thanks for that. And Artem, from a broader industry perspective, with your experience, what best practices and kind of trends do you see in the IDP space in the future?
I think the pain from the developer I guess at this year I already built 2 or 3 platforms, and it's every time the same. You build a platform and you need to understand the developer pain. The developer comes to us and say, now we have a platform, it's really nice, but how we propagate, for example, how we build a safe Docker image. It sounds simple, but they don't know. And then you say you need to build, I don't know, using build kits. They say how for our framework. So you need to provide it. And then they also say if you build a Docker image, for example, how we put it in a manifest. It sounds also easy, but you need to be aware of, for example, I know somebody loves YAML, some not. You need to be aware for a simple web application, how to configure security context, how to configure, for example, a matrix. So you need to be also aware that the platform you provided have a matrix server installed. For platform engineers, it's easy to understand. And what I see is the developer coming to us and say, it's nice that you're building the platform, but can you please understand our pain? And, I mean, the IDPs are about developer experience. And if we build them, we ignore the developer in the most cases, and they're asking for us for giving them some golden paths. And Choreo covered this part. For example, you just need to push your code, like you say, Ganesh, and it's going to be scanning the vulnerability scan, creating a Docker container from you, put it in a manifest, depending it's a web application or another one, and you are done. So you don't need to cover it. And if we are building a platform, we ignore this part, and I guess we need to focus more from different points of industries on how we can work with our developer as our customer to increase the developer experience. This is the most platform engineers are missing, because they try to put a lot on tools for observability, security, and all the stuff, but not understand the pain, and also not.
Definitely. And considering Choreo's position in the market, are there any unique capabilities that you think that sets it apart from other IDPs in the market?
Yes. If I compare, for example, Choreo with another solution, it's safe by default. I guess for you now, you have a lot seen of the cell architecture and how it's worked. It's making sense. But if you are building with another teams, for example, now I've built this year, at the beginning of the year, I need to build a platform and they say remove network policies. I say, how? They say, yeah, just remove it because the developer don't know how to handle it. And I say, but it's like I'm gonna remove in the old world the firewall rules and IP tables. They say, yes, but remove it. And so I guess it's unique if you compare it with another tools. So it's safe by default. You don't need to cover it. And if I'm also compare with security audits from last year, we have the BSE. Don't know if you heard about it. It's like Federation Information Security Service in Germany. It's gonna, if you're a critical infrastructure provider, they are gonna challenge you. They are gonna ask you for security audits, and you need to provide. And since last year, they say network policies are part of your platform. It's not nice to have. It must be. So you need all the parts. And if you're using a solution like Choreo, Open Choreo, it's gonna be already covered. So it's really nice to have a safe by default platform. I guess this is a unique, I never saw another solution. I saw about 20, 30 different IDP solutions. So for me, it's unique, and I really love it.
Great, that's really good to hear as well. Kanchana, looking ahead at WSO's vision for Choreo, I know we talked about the customer pain points. How do we kind of look at what our customers' requirements are and then put that into the product roadmap?
Yeah, I think really good question, Sam. I think like a lot of the customers that are started using, we actually want them to use in anger, right? Because, some are like kind of getting into the concepts of Choreo because they come from that mindset of, I still need to have a big control of my CI/CD pipeline. I still need to see the YAML, etc. So we're kind of educating them to kind of get over it. You are delivering value to your customer, whether it is internal or external. Once they started using the platform in anger, which is the adoption part, I think we will see more and more of that self-service capability for the developers. And obviously AI, something we can't ignore, right? What kind of real AI capabilities that we can bring in? And same on the other side as well, on the platform engineers, right? And some of the CIO, CQ level people asking how is my organization doing compared to the others? So those kind of metrics also need to be put in place, right? So I don't think like Sanjeeva talked and a lot of the others has talked as well. There is no end game for Choreo, so I can't see where the end game would be. We will keep on evolving, right? And whenever customer priorities come, and even at the PC, which is our product council, we actually try to prioritize what's in for them first versus what we have it in the roadmap. Sometimes from our experience, the stuff that we bring in might be something that they haven't learned before, so they might adapt that. But at the same time, we are also giving priority for their comms.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've seen that happening throughout WSO2, I would say as well. And Ganesh, I know you had an anecdote about maybe it wasn't Choreo, but how we actually built a feature that was for your requirement as well, right?
Yeah, actually, this is an unconventional kind of example about Choreo because it's not about the technology itself, it's more the support team. So as you mentioned, we are a very, very small team. It was me and one other developer, and we were absolutely stretched trying to build this product over the last 1.5 years. And so we had a lot of technical challenges, not so much in deploying the application onto the platform, but in building the app itself. And what really helped us was the Choreo team, because this is one thing that I've seen, WSO2 has a great depth of the bench in terms of technical knowledge. So we were really happy to see that they were not just supporting us in terms of the platform, but they were also able to give us consultancy, in a sense, on how to solve problems in the application. So I'm really grateful for that, because whenever we used to run into some problems with the application, we used to ask the Choreo team, And because they were experts in the other technologies that we were using, they could tell us, try this, try that, and it would work. So it was like having an extended team really for building the application. Yeah.
That's really great. And Ganesh and Britto, you have both been long-standing supporters of WSO2. Ganesh, I know Clearit only has been using us for 1.5 years, but you have a relationship with WSO2 since 2011. And Britto, Z Omega has been using WSO2 since 2014 and has been actually early adopter of a lot of our technologies as well. Thinking about this ongoing kind of relationship, what aspects of support, community, professional services that WSO2 has offered has helped you succeed in adopting our products?
Yeah, I would say the listening, right? When you try to explain the problem to the team, I think first they will listen. That is the very much required, right? Any API platform, and by the way, we explored many of these competitor tools, and sometimes they'll say, read this product documentation and go through it and decide whether it will work for. But where in WSO2, right, they must listen, understand your problem, and they will try to explain to you the way how it works for you, right? So that is the one thing I would say, and also not like they will assign somebody who can be dedicated to work with you to make sure that it works, your workflow. So that's what it helped us, right? And we could able to showcase this to the next level leadership team and comparing with the other vendors who has providing this kind of portal. And that way it helps. And that is the advantage we have, the technical, it's not like a support, I would say, it's a technical relationship, It helped us to quickly adopt this kind of the portal, right? So that's things.
Yeah, great. And what about you, Ganesh?
Yeah, I would say there are 3 standout features of WSO2 as a partner for any customer. The first is, of course, technical depth. So it's usually cutting-edge technology that you get from WSO2, and the people who are working on it are also extremely skilled, and they can help you with a lot of things. So that's the technology. The second is support. So I've found that, most cloud platforms have good support anyway, but I think WSO2 goes one step further in the sense that if something is not sorted out immediately through email, they're very quick to jump on a teleconference call, do screen sharing, and help you find and fix problems within minutes. So that's really been very useful to us. More than once, we have had issues that weren't sorted out immediately through emails, and we jumped on, and this was at really late hours at night. I'm a late worker, so in Sydney, I would sit up till 2 or 3 in the morning, but I would get calls from WSO2, and I realized it was 10 p.m. in Colombo, and still people would call me and help me fix problems. That was the second big advantage. And the third advantage, which I think a lot of potential customers don't really understand, or which is underrated, is that WSO2's technology, products and services are value for money compared to big brand name products and services. So I think these are the 3 major advantages of partnering with WSO2.
Great, thank you for that. And Artem and Kanchana, I wanted to give you one final question. So the concept of platform engineering is very kind of tightly knit with IDPs, right? How do you see the role of a platform engineer changing with software as a service products like Choreo being introduced to the market? Maybe Artem, you can start.
A little bit difficult to answer. Can you rephrase the question a little?
Would you say the role of a platform engineer would change because of as-a-service products like Choreo, or?
I guess yes. I guess if you build it your own, you need more expertise and you need more people. If you, for example, using solution like Choreo, you can focus more on building, for example, if governance is a point for you as a company, you can build the pipelines, like we also saw in the demo. So you can focus and say, in this pipeline, you need this and this and this step, so it's going to be compliant, we can make a check. So platform engineering not going to be replaced. I guess if you're using solution like Choreo, you have now time not to firefighting. Now you have time to create the golden paths, maybe to remove one layer like the DevOps or Dev experience or framework teams, and helping the developer to understand also the business, how your business works, what is important for your organization, and all the stuff. So you can map your platform and your software to your organization needs and combine it. I think it's how it's like gonna be change of platform engineering view. If you're choosing the right solution, if not, so still maybe firefighting. Yeah. But if you like firefighting, why not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think platform engineering is evolving, right? Whether with Choreo or other IDPs, etc. Where I see is that the load on them, the cognitive load on them to actually create their own platform will get reduced, which means they can be more productive. And with the AI wave and etc., they had to catch up with the new technologies coming in, right? So they'll spend more time not figuring out like what Lakmal and others explained. How do I move, like today, Cloud X becomes very expensive. How do I move across to another one, right? So that kind of thinking, they can understand the fundamentals of it. I'm not saying they don't go learn about it, but they don't have to, always have that expertise and the load in creating something like that, right? So it will move to like a softer role, but give them more power.
Yep, definitely. I think we are at the end of the session. Our time is up. I did have a few more questions, but if you have any other questions that you do want to kind of ask the panel, we'll be there later today during the keynotes and also at the party. So do approach any of the panelists at any time if you have any questions. And thank you so much for sharing your insights. This was a superb conversation. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for listening.